In the world we live in, we often find ourselves sorting out and negotiating and attempting to make sense of information we received, especially when it relates to our health and healthcare. You may wonder if taking this medication makes sense or if you should agree to undergo this procedure or surgery your doctor is recommending. Here are 3 steps to take when making healthcare decisions. Number 1, rely on the valuable amount of historical information and research that has already been done on that particular disease or treatment that you're considering. If that approach or treatment has been around for decades, then the chances are it will be around for another decade. Number 2, know the risks and benefits of every treatment plan, especially the new ones. Those are the ones you pay attention to. Number 3, you need to know your own personal risks and benefits to those treatments and possible procedure. Talking to your doctor will help you get to that information. See, these 3 steps are paramount before choosing, before selecting, and or deciding on what to do with your health and healthcare. Let's talk about colonoscopy. To do it or not to do it, right? To know the answer to this question, you will need to know the natural history of colon cancer. That is correct. We do colonoscopies to catch colon cancer at its early stages before it develops into something more advanced. This screening procedure that we call colonoscopy, it prevents you from getting to a point of no return. So you might ask, how much time do you really have then, right, before it gets bad? Well, or you might ask, when is the perfect time to get your colonoscopy? Thanks to decades of data and history of observing colon cancer and what it does, we now can say we know a whole lot. In fact, we're even moving towards screening for colon cancer at an earlier age because of what we already know. Thanks to nature and of course the physicians and scientists that were studying this natural progression of how colon cancer acts, right? And that back in times like, for instance, 1990 is when we released a nationwide recommendation for colonoscopy screening for everyone. But what really happened in the 90s, if you remember, is that it was not until President Ronald Reagan underwent his life-saving colonoscopy procedure. Yep. A colonoscopy prevented the President of the United States from getting advanced colon cancer and dying. It was after that incident is when we started to become more aware, because that drew national attention and subsequently guidelines were developed, all right? And it was a nationwide recommendation. But your actual risk for colon cancer is discovered at the individual level. For instance, some people would be at a higher risk due to their family history, or you may need it sooner because you are having symptoms like blood in your stools. It is important to recognize that colon cancer is due to both environmental and genetic factors that you may or may not have control over. Make sure to speak to your doctor or your physicians to find out when is the best time for you to start your screening process for colonoscopies. So here you have it. Deciding on whether you should get your colonoscopy, well, you now know the natural history of why we choose to do it, right? And why we do these colonoscopies. You know the risks in not doing it. But more importantly, you know how to learn about your own personal risk of not getting a colonoscopy on time. Remember, make the decision now. Because believe me, in this case, you do not want nature to make that decision for you. I'm Dr. Coupet. I'm the People's Doctor. Thanks for listening.